Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar on Pega Constellation, which is the next generation US architecture from Pega that is trying to build and deliver applications. Not spending too much time on building UI and customizing, rather focusing on business logic and process optimization. Right? Constellation architecture represents a shift from customization to the configuration, right? So remember the old days that we were doing section, drag and drop, all the UI fields and all those things. So Pega is coming up with the Constellation architecture that can, craft the UI for you, right? So I'm Manju, and I'm excited to guide you through the how Constellation access development enhances user experience and also drive business agility. So with me, I have Shekhar, who is our global practice head, from his class, who is going to walk you through the Constellation architecture, what is Constellation, what is adoption technology, and all those things. Right? So, along with that, we'll also dive into the key features, best practices, real-world applications of Constellation, helping you unlock its full potential for your enterprises. So, and also we'll have the live demo as well as the Q&A to be a more interactive webinar. Okay, so welcome Shekhar to the webinar.
Hi, Manju.
Okay, so let's start with the very first thing. What is Pega Constellation, right? And what are the key Pega benefits or key Pega Constellation benefits?
Sure, Manju. So Pega Constellation is a modern UI system, that helps to build the application easier and faster with loop. Right? So it uses, the latest UI technology with the ready-made, components and templates. So, with that, right, we don't require to start right from scratch. Right? So next is, with this modern model-driven approach, we can, design the applications much more efficient way. And I would say this Constellation is changing the way we build the Pega application by using center-out architecture. So mainly this is for scalable and for efficient design. So when it comes to the key benefits, right? There are many benefits out of this Constellation one. So one is the low-code UI development. So when I say low-code, right? So unlike traditional UI, right, the Constellation focus more on the configurations rather than more on configurations rather than customization. So it comes with the pre-built, as I said, right? Pre-built templates and components. So we spend less time on the manual, UI work. And when it comes to architecture, right? So the Constellation, it follows MVC pattern and it uses a microservice-based architecture. As we know, the microservice-based architecture is a stateless architecture. It makes the applications modular, scalable, and adaptable as the business grows on. Right? Next is the performance with the Constellation, right? There is improvement in performance since this Constellation runs on a client side. All the UI, it's getting rendered happens directly in the browser. This makes the application faster, smoother, and more responsive. And next is about the user experience. Yeah, Constellation provides a ready-made UI templates, UI components. It works seamlessly across different channels. So meaning, it keeps the customer journey consistent across no matter which devices which they're accessing and all. So next is when it comes to upgrade, right? The Constellation supports a seamless upgrade. When I say seamless upgrade, meaning, the Pega handles the UI upgrades automatically. So, updating the application is much simpler and easier. So this minimizes the rework effort when moving to the new Pega versions and all.
I think I can see that improved performance and seamless upgrade. So in Constellation architecture, I believe it follows the service-oriented architecture, right? So which invokes the DX APIs, avoiding a lot of customizations which we used to do in the sections, right? And then upgrade columns and etc. So which is very interesting. So the next question is based upon that. So with respect to the major transformation, if you think about from an application development perspective, right? So what do you see? How do you compare with the Constellation application and the traditional UI technology of whatever that we have seen like UI kit or theme cosmos?
Sure, Manju. The Constellation, right, as I mentioned, uses a center-out architecture, meaning, we focus on the business outcome and customer journeys first. Instead of focusing or, getting stuck with technical details or underlining systems. So this is a big shift from traditional approach. In the past, right, the business logic and data are tightly coupled or linked to the UI sections and action sets where the task are being getting triggered. So this made harder to maintain or scale the application, being closely coupled and connected. So with Constellation, right, this UI is separate from business logic and data. So this makes the application more flexible and scalable. Since this UI and logic are independent, right, we can update or maintain one without affecting the other. So in terms of development, right, so there is a big shift. One of the big shift is, so in traditional, what we do is we can design and build any UI we wanted with the sections and harness, right? So that's how we used to
Right.
build it out. Whereas in Constellation is mainly focused on outcome-based design and business-oriented data modeling. So these are the two aspects which comes to the Constellation. So when I say outcome-based design is, so we configure the business outcome which we needed, and we'll allow the Constellation engine to handle the UX creations. So normally, what we'll do it out is with the App Studio, right? We can go and configure the business processes and the outcome based on the business need, and let the system generate the rules automatically. So next is when it comes to the business-oriented data modeling, right? So always, we'll start the modeling of data in App Studio, and we define the business entities and relationships and attributes. So this creates the data model, which is aligned with the business structure, and it helps us to simplify the UI development. So here, one more point which I want to highlight is, so even though App Studio is recommended for Pega application development, I would say it's not mandatory for each and everything. So always the hybrid approach, meaning combining both App Studio and Dev Studio can be a more efficient to build applications. So when it comes to App Studio, right, as we touched upon App Studio, right, it's ideal for creating a persona creation, or for configuring some centralized settings, or for localization and theming, or for any data visualization or integrations. This is a good tool for App Studio. Whereas on the other hand, right, when it comes to Dev Studio, this is mainly useful for core application development, or if you want to build something more complex configurations, or if you want to go and use advanced cases and data modeling, right, obviously Dev Studio would be the one.
Yeah, I could see that, the Constellation architecture, which is a model-driven prescriptive framework that emphasizes on the configuration, right? So I could see that presentation layer, mapping layer, and orchestration layer. So maybe, what I'm actually thinking is why it is actually trying to develop the own UI. Like, if you have the application data model, which generates largely prescriptive overall experience, right? From data model to the constant, and then it generates end-to-end experience, including the UI and actions. This means shorter development time, more consistent user experience, because you see the same UI, right, across all channels, and easier upgrades, right, and also minimal maintenance going forward, right. So that's what the Constellation architecture in a comparison with the traditional UI. Got it. So my next topic will be wanted to discuss, right. We talked about Constellation architecture. We talked about how it is different from traditional UI. So can you tell me what are the various UI options, right, which is available in Constellation, or can you explain the Constellation UX architecture itself, so that we understand how it is giving a prescriptive model in terms of generating the UI?
Sure, Manju. Maybe I'll first start up with the Constellation UI options. Then we can deep dive into the explaining the Constellation architecture. So when it comes to the UI options, right, there are different options for building and expanding the user interfaces. Whether we need to use the low-code solutions, or if you want to build a custom integrations and all. So when it takes the out-of-box, the Constellation channels, right. So we have something called work portal, which normally most of the people might know. So this is a standard portal where designed for business users to manage the complex workflows. So mainly focusing on the collaboration with the team for data access, and then for real-time process monitoring and all. Next is the self-service portal. So this is also one of the known portal which most of the people might know. So this portal is for end customer, allowing them to engage with the application. They can raise the request and access the self-service features without any manual intervention from the team. So this is one of the portal which is available as a part of Constellation out of the box. Next is web embed. So this is something we might hear about Pega mashup before, right? So this is the same thing. So allowing Pega applications to embed into other web pages, extending the Pega's functionality without affecting the existing system. So this is the third one. Next is Pega mobile channel. When I say Pega mobile channel, mainly this is for delivering Pega applications on mobile devices, which provide a smoother and responsive user experience on smartphones or at other devices, right? So as per the best practices, again, right, Pega always say that yes, we should go and use the out of box configuration, but still if there is any requirement that we need to go and extend the Constellation, right? So we can go and, in case if there is any need for any specific business needs, then that's where the custom extending the Constellation is required here. For that, Pega provided Constellation DX components. So the Constellation DX components, right, which enables the developers to enhance the Pega UI library by adding custom components. So this allows the developers to create specialized UI elements which integrate or work smoothly with the Pega low code authoring experience and all. So this is both the Constellation DX components one too. The next is Constellation SDK. So if there is any requirement that the client has to follow their own branding and design system, so in that case, right, they need in order to compliance with their client branding. So then we can go with the SDKs. So there are 3 SDKs which are available. One is React, Angular, and Web Components. So overall, right, I would say with all these options, right, Pega Constellation, it gives us a flexibility to meet the different development needs while keeping everything consistent and easy to integrate. Manju?
So I just wanted to highlight on the DX component. So you mean to say if you want to provide a custom front-end experiences rather than going with a model-driven prescriptive UI authoring from Constellation architecture, and you wanted to display something else, right? That is when you go and create a DX component and then make use of all this, the React.js code or whatever we call it as a design system, Constellation design system, which are pre-built components and patterns which is built on React, right? To go and actually do the custom front-end experience. And Constellation SDK, which has the again the same kind of a design system, which allows you to actually interact with the websites of the bank or a customer to seamlessly integrate with your Pega application, and then communication happens through the model-driven API or whatever the DX API, what we call it. I think it's going to be interesting when you try to showcase the DX components and Constellation SDK. If we have something in the demo, right, that could be interesting. So the next stuff will be, with respect to we have understood what are the UI options, what is Constellation architecture from traditional, etc. So I just wanted to ask you one question with respect to what are the challenges, right? Or what are the, so let's ask this one, right? So what is the design component changes in Constellation over traditional, right? So that is something that we already explained. Or with respect to the best practices of Constellation.
Sure, Manju. So I'll go through this, the design components changes from traditional to Constellation. So before that, right, I was saying about the Constellation architecture. Quickly, I want to touch upon brief about this.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll go with the Constellation architecture,
sure.
and then we'll understand the design component changes.
Sure, Manju. So I'll quickly go through this one because So in the diagram, you can see that 2 design systems, right? One is the Constellation design system and alternate design system. So as I said, right, so this is a Pega Constellation design system. It's a Pega, built UI framework that combines the Constellation presentation components with the Pega's DX components. right? So this provide a ready-to-use elements like buttons, labels, text boxes, and making development faster and easier, as we discussed about this Constellation business system. The next is the alternate design system, right? So this system is meant for a business that needs more flexibility. So we have already touched upon the Pega Constellation components and SDK and all, right? So the main difference between these two is the Constellation design system. It offers a standardized UI with the built-in Pega components, whereas alternate design system allows for full customization using external design frameworks. So this is the main difference. So in the diagram, you can see at the bottom, right, we have Pega Infinity Server, right? So as everyone knows, this is a core engine that handles, business logic, case management, workflow, and it also provides a Constellation DX API. So Constellation DX API, right? We most of we know that it enables a view-based UI development by providing metadata on elements, layouts, and actions and staging. So this is API, right? It has the metadata as well. So this is been built on the RESTful architecture, and it uses OAuth for security and all, right? And as it is a stateless way, that is microservice-based architecture, it makes scalable, more easy to integrate. So this is more about the Constellation DX API. So when it comes to the Constellation orchestration layer, right? So this is one of the very important layer. It's a JavaScript engine where it manages how the UI works and handles the data flow and how the application controls behavior in Pega. So this acts as a bridge between UI components in Pega, which ensures everything runs smooth. Right? So there are many features which is part of this Constellation orchestration layer. So even this our public API like P-Connect, right, which allows the developers to control how the UI interacts with Pega, right? It's part of this orchestration layer, and we have there's a feature where it works with any UI framework, irrespective of not React or Angular, and also it supports something client-side caching, and it takes care of client-side garbage collection and all the debugging tools to make the development easy, right? All this part of this, the Constellation orchestration layer, right? So this is the one thing. So next, if you can see in the Constellation design system, we have something called Constellation presentation components. So this refers to the library of a pre-built user interfaces elements like buttons, forms, and lists. So provided in the Constellation design system. So mainly this is used to construct the presentation layer of a Pega application, which ensures consistency and efficiency across the user interfaces. This is a presentation components. And you can see the Constellation design components, DX components. I think we touched upon more about this Constellation DX components. I'll just go with the next one. So in the left side, you can see the Constellation, you can see the Pega CDN, or we used to call it as the Constellation Pega static service. This helps to load the UI assets like CSS, JavaScript, or images quickly. So if Pega uses a CDN one, if there is any restrictions in the internet and all, right, yes, we can go and host the services in the client environment if needed and all. So that can be done. So next is the Constellation application static services. When I say application static services, how it is different from the static services? This handles the application specific content like custom branding and images, and allowing the personalized UI elements in Pega application. So this is about the application static service. Next is Constellation messaging services. So this is mainly for managing, the real-time updates and notifications, and ensure the smooth communication between, the case engine and then the UI components. So this is about Constellation messaging services. Next is this Pega DX component builder and normal SDK. So as we already touched upon about this, what is use of custom DX components and SDK path, right? Let's move on. So overall, right, I would say this Constellation design system, right, it offers a very comprehensive, flexible, and scalable application for building any Pega applications.
Yeah, so looking at this architecture, I'm just imagining and I'm going back to my experience working with one of the largest banks in Southeast Asia, right, where they developed, the headless applications. When I say headless applications, is they have written a complete UI in a different language. It could be like plus Java plus and then React or Angular JS, and then maintain the Pega to do only the case management or workflow. But the how it is interacting is through a REST APIs or SOAP calls, etc. Right? I'm going like 8 years or 10 years back. So now I'm actually trying to correct me if I'm wrong, Shekhar. So I'm trying to understand and also appreciate the benefit of Constellation, where you don't have to think about those APIs, number of APIs for pushing an assignment or opening an assignment or updating the case, deleting the case. There are so many operations, right, as part of the workflow. So that is completely eliminated because of Constellation DX API, which also has the UI metadata, right? And also whatever the actions that is required to do an open assignment, go back and forth between the workflow. And the other important thing is, it is also minimize the work of, using any React or Angular JS and then customer, doing everything from the scratch, right? This is Constellation architecture, even also giving out of the box UI that is getting rendered, right, at the client systems. So I think that's the benefit of this whole Constellation architecture.
Yes, Madhu.
Maybe, right?
Yes, Madhu. As you rightly said, still there are some clients still they're using headless application where they're using Pega as a backend where front end is built the front end technologies. Yeah, so with this Constellation and all, right, it's totally so it's more
Yeah,
benefit
in
for
order
them.
to provide good user experience, the rich user experience with lot of modern UI components, I think the Constellation is the solution for all these things. So that's a great move from Pega. So Shekhar, so with respect to, I think I've asked the question before, with respect to what are the design component changes in Constellation over the traditional. Also, if you can explain the best practices of the Constellation UI.
Sure, Manju. When it comes to the best practices, right? So first of all, when it comes to the user actions, right? In traditional way, right? We have the action sets on UI elements. So whereas in constellations, right, the action sets are modeled in case designer. So the big changes or advantages is, so with this case designer, it's a kind of a centralized management of actions in a case designer, which simplifies the development process, right, and improves the maintainability from an action sets perspective. Next is the core UI structure, right? So when if we take in traditional way, normally what we'll do it is we have sections and harness, right? So where we combine the logic, business logic, and everything into the presentation layer and all. So now in constellations we have views. So views, it separate data from certain business logic. So that is from the presentation layer. So from advantages perspective, right, the benefits perspective, view rules decouple the UI from business logic. So this makes the application more modular and easy to maintain. Right? So this is the one. The third one is about the UI controls. Yes, in traditional way, we used to drag and drop the controls of sections and all. Right? So in the Constellation way, right now the system automatically generates the select the best data field which is used for each field and all. Best field type, right? Best field type, I would say. Yeah. So this helps to reduce the manual effort. So the main benefit is reducing manual effort. The next is data model for UI, right? So this is mainly for linking layouts to data sources such as data page without adding them to a case data model, right? And then include them in sections. The difference in Constellation is the data model, it's created in case and it's been presented according. So if you see the benefits point of view, right, it's aligning in the Constellation, it is aligning the data model with the case structure. So it helps to reduce the redundancy and making it's easier for modifying the EU. So that is a big benefits out of this data model in Constellation. Next is reports. So we know in the traditional way we use a report definition and report browser, right? So in Constellation we have insights. This is mainly for interactive charts and all. So the benefits of this insights it provide a more interactive and modern way to display and explore a data, right? This is many there are with the insights and all, right, we can show the different type of charts and everything we can show it out. So this is a big difference in terms of Constellation. Next is highly customizable UI and controls. In traditional application, what we'll do is we'll use a custom controls and we use non-auto generated section rules, and also we use HTML rules and all, right? Whereas in Constellation, right, we use DX components. So that's how we use DX components. So the benefits of using DX components is as already discussed. So when you start building using the DX components, this become a reusable asset. So once you build the DX components, it can be pushed to published to any application that can be reusable and all. So this is a benefit. Next is presenting. This is presenting list data. Mainly, this is for repeating dynamic layouts or table layouts, right? So mainly in the Constellation, right, we use list views, and we can configure tables or galleries or timelines. So the benefit of this presenting in the Constellation is use of this view, right? It provides a flexibility of presenting a data in the case environment. So that is one of the big difference. So when it comes to data sourcing, yes, in traditional way, the clipboard pages or data pages are linked to section tools, right? Where we used to give the pages and classes tab and all, right? So that's how we used to do it. Whereas in Constellation, right? So view now it can reference the data pages directly. So this, if you see from benefit point of view, right, it simplifies the data sourcing and UI integration between linking the databases and all, right? So this is one of the big benefits from a Constellation perspective. Yeah. Next is themes. Yes, the traditional way, we use skins, custom CSS, and we use a lot of inline states, because inline states the people used to correct a lot of inline states with that, right, with the Cardinals warnings and all, right. So this is one of the main thing most of the people might know. Yeah. Then Constellation, right. So we should use branding tool in App Studio for any theming and all. So this App Studio branding, right, it streamlines the application theming. So that's the main benefit from traditional one. Next is embed a Pega workflow in a website. I think we touched upon the mashup and verb embedding in the UI options. So the difference in verb embedding is the verb embedding allows for better integrations and more seamless user experience. So with the integrating with any Excel website and all. So next is messaging. When it comes to messaging, yes, we in traditional way we use WebSockets. That's how the messaging will be done. Whereas in Constellation, we use the Constellation message services. So the advantages of the benefits of new messaging services, right? It provides more integrated and provides more out of box solution for pushing notifications or for updating UI module. So that is one part. So and next is about export to Excel. So what we'll do it out as this is something normally we'll write a custom actions or we'll use right, for exporting Excel, right, we'll use it out. Whereas in Constellation, right, we enable the file exports in list view. So now using list view, right, we go and export this functionality, reducing the time for custom coding and all. So these are the I would say the design components changes from traditional way and Constellation.
Yeah, so I can relate for sure, especially with the messaging service, right? So earlier, Pega used to do something called HTTP log polling mechanism, and after that they converted to WebSockets. Now it's a new way of actually messaging service, which is very suitable for either it could be a pulse or it could be even the pop-ups of CPI integration that used to do using HTTP long polling mechanisms or WebSockets, right? So that is a great advantage of having that. So I have a question actually. So our community, our audience is asking a question. This is a question to Chandan, saying if client having traditional application, can we extend current app with new features using Constellation? I think let's talk about the adoption of
Adoption,
Constellation.
yes, sure, yeah.
I'll take the other question with one of the guy from I think Hemasundar Kota. So he has told about DS companies. It's an information. I'm just reading out. Pega Constellation design system plus custom components. Front end will be still in Pega. That's correct. Constellation SDK customer owned design system. Front end will not be in Pega. Front end will be in React or Angular. So Hema. So I think we'll be showcasing the same thing. So we'll also showcase how the DX components can be created, and also it can be plugged into any of the Pega front end, the portals. And also we have extended using the custom SDK, Constellation SDK, and then also created our own portal, which is non-Pega. I think Shekhar is going to showcase on that. So let's talk about the adoption of Constellation, Shekhar.
Sure, Ranjan. So yeah, so
Different approaches that you feel, etc.
okay. So when it comes to adoption, right? Yeah. So there are three, adoption strategies which, from a recommendation point of view. One is the new one. So when it comes to new one, meaning, so this approach is helpful when we, if you want to quickly build a new applications with the Pega Infinity latest versions for
So it's
faster.
slightly, right? This is one
Yeah,
input
this
adopting
yeah.
Constellation.
Yes, so this is for the new one, and with when we this is mainly, as I said, right. One more thing is this is more suitable for organization who's they are aiming to meet the new business goals and replace the old applications also. So with the Pega Gen AI blueprint, right, we can go and quickly design, and we can build a foundation layer for your application. Then following the best practices, right, we can build the application development. So this is one of the thing whenever if you're
So
starting a
it is
new.
like, you create a new case type and then follow the Constellation UI architecture for that particular case type. That is what you mean?
This new application is nothing but, let's say, if, as I said, right, Manju, if any new
So you
clients
are
want
still
to
under new
add,
application, not gone
yeah,
to
new
the second.
application, not to the second and third approach. The second and third approach is the where we are discussing about incremental and migration one. Still, I'm in the first one, the new application. So new application, as I said, right, by using this Gen A features, right, we can turns the ideation phase into application structure and all. So using out of box design systems, we can go and build default components, and we can use it out. So the next is about the prioritization innovations. This is where this approach focuses more on improving your current application by slowly adding the
So
constellation
traditional
features.
UI application, assume that I'm actually on the traditional UI application.
Correct.
Now, the second approach, what you're saying is whenever you build new case types, whenever you build new UI, you go and what do you call leverage the Pega Constellation design stack, right?
Correct,
So
Manju. So
option.
in this second approach, right, again, we have three options which are available. So we used to call it as a blended UI and coexistence, and then Pega process fabric mode. So whatever you are asking about, it comes under the blended UI, where I'll touch it upon the blended UI. So maybe this second approach is mainly for instead of rebuilding everything, right? So any clients, they want to migrate the workflows and they want to add any new elements, right? Where which brings most value to the business and all. So this is mainly for doing incremental way of migrations, where the Constellation applications can be embedded in traditional applications, how we can do it out and all. So this is where I was saying there's a three approaches. One is the blended UI, where mix of traditional UI with the Constellation Pega application. So that is one approach. Second is the coexistence mode. Mainly, this is for customer service application. Pega provided how gradually we can transition the customer service application from traditional to Constellation one. So there is a coexistence mode which Pega provided using Process Fabric and all. The next is the Process Fabric Hub. So this is mainly for managing a multiple. This is managing integrations across multiple applications. So when I say multiple applications, this application can be one application can be traditional, and other application can be Constellation. So this is about the second one. Okay. So from a approach wise, right, when you go to the third approach, so this is where the complete modernization, right? When I say complete modernization, is this is this approach is for the organization that need a full application migration to meet the compliance or security or any regulatory standards. So this migration, right, it helps to ensure that they are meets the latest UI security and performance requirements. So first is we need to assess the application to identify what needs to be updated, including data models, integrations, and workflows. So that's what we need to do. And with the use of this Constellation modernization assessment, so Pega provided the assessment pack which is available in a marketplace. Using that, right, we can go and check the application readiness. So this helps to see which data and integrations can be used, and and also when you do this assessment, right, we can go and see whether self-service options or whether what sort of improvement which we can do it out for the existing application, so that we can give a more user experience and efficiency. So these are the three approaches from a adoption perspective, Manju.
So, and also, just curious to know, right? So, Pega was also saying about, they will come up with some migration accelerator to convert their the traditional UI into the new Constellation UI. So, is there any update on that?
Yes, Manju, it's already available in the
It's already available. That's
it's already
so.
available. Pega already lists
Possible
the
to is it possible to walk through that particular accelerator if you have some time now, or how is that? Can we do that? Like,
Okay.
like how it actually looks as a dashboard if you try to migrate and what exactly it can provide?
Sure, Manju. I can, before going into the actual demo, right, maybe I'll just show what is the smart decision assessment tool. Then, I
Yeah,
can jump on, then I can show the
sure,
things.
sure.
So this modernization assessment component, right, it helps, as you said, right, as you said, it migrate the Pega application to support the Constellation mode. So there are two modes which they used to say. One is analysis mode and migration mode. So mainly this is for analysis, meaning it scans the application and it finds the rules that needs updates, and it generates Excel reporting listing the issues, and it helps the team for smooth integrations and all, right. And migration mode is something whatever you said, right. It creates a new Constellation based application on the top of current one, and it updates the sections and sections to views, and it marks the properties as relevant records. So this is the two modes which are available. So just give me a second. I'll log in and then I can show it over
Yeah, so
here.
I'm going to take one question when you actually try to log in. So from
Sure,
Ravi
Manju.
Tej, migration from traditional to Constellation, does all rules related to UI, like when rules, RD, validation kind of things will be migrated, or need to manually add all those things, right? So maybe if you can showcase, I think it will answer to Ravi Tej's questions.
Yeah, just give
You
me.
can see the screen. There's video.
So as I said, right, there are two modes. One is the analysis mode and the migration mode.
So first, the analysis mode is all about trying to see whether
Yes,
this
Manju.
particular
This is to
application
run
is
the
ready
analysis.
for
Correct.
migration, right?
Correct. So once you run the analysis, right? Once you
So
done
you
the
already
analysis.
ran the
Yeah, we
analysis.
already ran. Yes, we already ran, and then we have checked all the things and all. So and also once we done the analysis, right? Pega has provided the list of migration issues. For example, in a particular section, you have used some operator, right? Let's say you used a not operator and all, right? So this in Constellation it's not compatible, right? So then we need to go and fix it out. So likewise, right? They provided a list of migration issues, so which we need to take care of migrating from traditional to Constellation. That's how we should do it out. So as I said, right, there are two modes. One is run analysis. So this will give the list of all the issues which are highlighted, which is not compliant. So we'll start fixing it out all those things. So once this is done, right, Manju, then what we'll do it out is we can go and migrate this application. So when I say click migrate application, right, what will happen at the background is it will create a new Constellation application, and then all these existing view root sections, right, it will create views, and also the properties, right, marked as relevant records and all. So here you can see.
Can you walk me through issue by rule, right? For example, for Ravi Tej's question, right? So there is a
Okay.
when rule to be attached in a section or whatever it is, and there is a problem that it cannot be migrated as it is to the Constellation
Correct,
viewpoint.
Madhu. So as I said, right, so there are Pega's provided a list of many rules, Madhu. It's not one particular rule. So there are, I would say a number of rules, migration issues. For each one, what is the equivalent in the Constellation is something
Oh,
which we
okay.
need to do it out. It's not about
So
single rule where I can.
someone has to
Yes.
go to this rule and then fix by themselves. Right?
Yes, Manju. So already, everything is there in the community where they provided what is the migration issues, how for each issue, how the action has to be taken. So that is a thing which is already there available. So with that, right, we can go and fix it out, Manju. That's how we can do it out.
That's interesting. So it is going to be a hope it is giving all comprehensive rules which has
Correct.
issues, right? And also it tells where exactly the issue, so that they can go and enhance that whatever they convert manually, right, from section to view, and then resolve that particular error. Very good.
Correct. So you can see here, right? So likewise, when I list all the rules, Manju.
Mhm.
So this is a way we can go and check it out and then start fixing it out, Manju.
And then when you after fixing all these things, and you have to just hit a button, upgrade my existing,
And migrate, yes.
migrate. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's super. Okay, so I think we have done enough talking, right? So can you provide some demo on? I think demo was asking. Not he was asking. He was giving some information on the custom JS components, and also how we have integrated uh, the Pega workflow in a completely different front-end application, non-Pega applications, using the custom SDK, right? Sorry, the Constellation SDK. So first we'll go with the DX component, and
Sure, Manju.
then why we have built a DX component. That is the first question that we need to answer.
Okay.
If at all build DX components, and the second one will go for a Constellation SDK that we integrate it into our the non-Pega application.
Sure, Manju. So let's first start with custom DX components. So just give me a minute. I'll log in with the user and then I'll share my screen. So as
They are to navigate to different different portals.
yeah, no problem. This is a developer one and this is something different. Yeah, just give me. I'll log in. So in meantime, I'll explain about what is the you are asked why we need to build the custom components, right? So just sorry for delay.
So there's one more question actually from Neeraj. So what about the non-auto generated HTML sections, which were built for notifications like that? Will those automatically work with Constellation? So which were built for notifications? What do you mean by is there anything that we can build for notifications? We're talking about the pulse notifications.
Let me share my screen. Let's go one by one.
Neeraj, I think if you could send me the complete the details of that question, so over an email, that would be helpful. That we can connect with you and then talk about this.
Are you able to see my screen, Manju?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you are asking, why we need to build this custom DX components, right? So yes, Pega's recommendation is always to go with the OTB, the Constellation configurations one. But as we know, right, Pega provided extensive, the out-of-box libraries where we can go and use it out. But in some requirements, right, based on some client requirement, so we may go and need to create some custom DX components. So that is the reason, right, we need to go and build this custom DX components. So that is the first one. So when it comes to our custom DX components, so first of all, I want to show it out in the home screen. You can see, the two custom script, I would say two custom things which we come up here. One is this task. Maybe I'll just create a case and then I'll show it out. So one is this is I would say carousel. So the carousel is components is to display or any notifications, or if you want to show any latest updates, right? So we can use the carousel. So you can show you can see over here, right? This is we have created.
So these are all the DX components you created using the Constellation design system, and you imported that as a component into Pega. And this is available for you to actually embed in any of the view for your application, right?
Yes, Manju. Yes, Manju. You're right. So let me just show it. So let me go back home here. So here I was saying about this carousel DS components. So this is one of the DS components which we come up. Next is, you can see left hand side there is a task, right? This is something. It's about the task list, right? So task list. So what we come up is here you can see the two task lists. One is here which comes with the OTB one, and here we have a custom DX task list. So mainly we come up with this one to customize this to do widget. So mainly to show some extra fields. So that is a requirement from one of the client where they want to show some extra fields over here. So that is the reason, right? We can we come up with the custom DX components. So you can see right here we have shown two custom DX components. So next I'll go to the dashboard. So here there are two DX custom components which we come up. One is see, basically I want, before I jump onto this, all these custom DX components, right? So all these custom DX components have been utilized in different applications. Don't think that all, as for a demo perspective, we are putting everything into over here. So right, so that's how we can showcase it. So here you can see this is a case card. So mainly this component is to show the case step count and the list of assignments over here and all. So this is a custom DX component which we built.
So this is within Pega application.
So this is also one of the.
So this is
Pega application. Manju, the whatever login is here. It's a Pega. So all this is a
Can we
some
see
DX
this component
components.
in the design, in the Dev Studio? Like how, for example, you showed about search, right? And then how did you
Yeah, Manju.
create that? How
Sure, Manju.
actually?
So, Manju, what I'm thinking is maybe we can have another session to show how runtime, right? How we can create a custom DX components. So that is the
I
best
think
way
that
I
would
feel.
be awesome because I think
Yeah. So
the
maybe
audience.
next session I can plan for a complete session only to show at live, how we can create all these custom components and
Custom
how
DX
we can
component using the
custom these
using
components. Then how we can push it to publish it to Pega. So that is one thing which we can show. So one more thing is we can show also the SDK one. So how the SDK when it comes to SDK components, right? How we can do it. So these two things, we can take it as a separate session where we can show the live the configurations how we can do it.
Yeah, so Hema is saying not recommended. Of course, we don't recommend to create the DX components, but there was a requirement that without a case type that we wanted to create a search form. Okay, so now which we don't actually create, right? So without a case
Yeah,
type, we can
so
create.
yeah, Manju, here I want to show, as you touched upon the search customer, right? So we had one requirement where I would say the users need to search the customer details before
So this is a
building
DX
particular.
component.
So this is again a DX compliance, Manju. So the requirement from the customer is they don't want to go and create the case at the beginning, right? So first thing is they want to go and do a search. When they do a search, right, they want to integrate with the Excel system or with the internal, Excel database, and then retrieve the results, show the results over here. Then they will take action whether the case has to be created or not. So this is explicit requirement, as I said, right? Custom DX components are more specific to each business requirement. So as I said, right, our recommendation also not just like that go and create a custom components. So unless until there is a specific requirement, then go and use it. So one of the requirement as I mentioned, right? So let me show it out. So this is something which. So here, even the auto control, I would say when you search, right, even this autocomplete feature, right? So we have come up with this custom components because when you use the OTP, right, it will pull the complete details. I mean, when I say the complete records. So here with this custom DX components, what we can do is, we can pass the data dynamically and then do the filtering of these results, and then we can basically user inputs, right? We can show it out. So I just put out this one. Let me do a search.
So
So
this
this.
search and clear and all those things needs to be designed with the React.js, and then you have to create that
Correct.
DX component and all.
Yes, Manju.
Yes,
So
it is
here,
very customizable solution, which is not recommended. But if there is
correct.
requirement like this,
It's not
where
recommended. As I said, there is a specific requirement that they want to do this one. That is the reason in whom we have proposed this option. Yeah. So once they see the details, they can click on create a case. Right. So here, I'll just show you something. So here, if we see the case type, right? So we have something called click Google address, right? So the Google location map also, we have come up using DX components. So this is one of the components which we come up with. Okay. And I want to highlight few more things. Let me go to this client details where we have a slider one. This is a custom
these
DX
are all some of the
components.
DS components that we can use.
Correct.
So why
So
don't you
and
show us something which we have done with respect to the Constellation SDK?
sure, Manoj. I'll just and this is a DX component and this is a DX component. And one more thing is, we have come up with the action button, local action. I mean, the button action button where we can go and call a flow action or a local action also. We have a the custom components. So overall, right, Manju, we have more than 30 custom DX components, which based on the client requirement, multiple clients, right? So we have come up with all these DX components, Manju. So let me show the SDK one Excel portal. Just a minute. Let me share my screen.
So
Yes.
this is completely built by React.js application, which is not
Yes,
Pega.
it's a non-Pega
Okay.
application, right? So this application has been completely built outside of Pega.
Maybe hosted on some Node.js server or some web server.
Yes.
And then you are trying to actually integrate some of the workflow for
Yes.
case management.
So
It is working.
basically, right. So we touched upon about this SDK pack, right? So SDK pack is mainly we as I said, right, excellent portal, right? So solution. Mainly, this is mainly required when there is a specific client requirement that where they want the applications to follow their standard branding and the compliance in terms of scaling and all. So in that case, right, Manju, so what we can do is instead of building too many custom components in Pega portal, so there is an approach that why not we can go and use this SDK pack, and using which, right, we can go and present it in the excellent portal. Manju. So here you can see the two components. One is
So
the
this is mainly used for self-service, or if they wanted to expose some of the workflow capability or request for information kind of a
yes,
workflow that we can actually, for example, creating a complaint case, creating a feedback case from their websites, and
correct.
then which actually creates the case back in Pega case management, right? So this,
Yes,
and then you can completely do that. Earlier it is done through mashup. So of course there is a web mashup that it can be
correct.
included. Also it can be done through Constellation SDK. Got it.
Yes, Manju. So here you can see, right, the insurance claim. What are the case which is getting created in the Pega portal? Same, the case we can create it from here. So using our DX API, we are loading all this case, Manju.
Constellation APIs. Got it.
Because yes,
Super. So Shekhar, I think so we are hitting the time. So finally, as a wrap up, right? What is the key takeaways for organization from today's constellation exploration? What we have done. What are the key takeaways that you think?
sure, Manju. So when it comes to the takeaway, right? Yes, the organizations who are looking to create a new applications, right? Or rebuilding the existing application. Yes, they can use the connect. They can use they should go for this Constellation UI as the modern UI UI's architecture, which efficiently they can go and create it and all. Manju. So when it comes to the migration, right? So they need to do a proper assessment of this, the existing application. So as I said, right, there are multiple approaches. So we need to do this assessment thoroughly, right? And also with the use of this migrate assistant component, we can go and do this assessment properly. Then we can take a right approach. What is our right strategy which we can do it on. So I would say here that as in Installa's team, right, we are specialists in developing a Constellation application, creating custom DX components, and also we are good in building excellent portal using SDK pack also.
So thank you, Shekhar, for walking us into the constellation technology and architecture and more details. The team, that brings us to the end of today's session on Pega Constellation. So I think Shekhar was kind enough to explore the key benefits, the fundamental shift in application development, UI option, architecture, and also some of the adoption strategies. And also, we tried our level best to walk you through some of the DX components and how do you embed using the Constellation SDK. I think as Shekhar is promising, maybe we will talk about how you can create the
Create
DX
the custom DX
because,
components.
of course, we need to avoid, but in some situations we cannot avoid just a search customer with what Shekhar has showcased. So thank you all for joining us today. So if you have any further questions or need guidance, reach out to Shekhar. So his number and also email ID is getting displayed on the screen. And then if you have any further questions, you can also reach out to me so that we are happy to guide on your constellation journey. Feel free to reach out. So looking forward to collaboration with you all and seeing you all in the next webinar. It's going to be on the Constellation DX component, and also we'll see whether we can catch up something on the Constellation SDK. How do you configure and all these things, right? So stay tuned. So thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you, Sheikh.